Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you are new. This is episode 1 in the series Narcissistic Abuse, The Journey to Healing. So, let's begin. What is narcissistic abuse? Narcissistic abuse is a type of emotional abuse that involves the use of control, deception, manipulation, gaslighting and a lack of empathy towards others displayed by individuals with narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, or high degrees of narcissistic traits. It can take place in romantic relationships, familial relationships, friendships and also in the church. Narcissistic abuse is a very horrendous relational experience. It is essentially the inflicting of harm to an individual's mind and soul, which can by extension lead to physical illness. It is important to note also that some narcissists, in addition to psychologically abusing their victims, may also physically abuse them. The abuser might be fully aware of their disorder, or their behaviors, partially aware or not at all. A narcissist is more often than not one who experienced neglect, abandonment or abuse resulting in trauma. They are psychologically damaged individuals, often with poor character traits, and most are also under demonic influence, vessels being used to cause destruction to the life of another. Individuals with narcissistic traits are in various spheres of society and also occupy positions of authority. It is therefore important to know how to interact with them, retain and regain strength, and ideally avoid any close relationship with them where possible. The core characteristics of the narcissist. An inflated view of self. Narcissists are guided by a false perception of themselves. They believe that they are superior to others and more capable and stronger than they actually are. They believe that they are entitled to a certain level of respect, treatment, favors, attention and adoration from others which they typically have not earned. Relationally exploitative. Narcissists embark upon relationships primarily to obtain some sort of benefit. They may exploit others, lie and manipulate situations in an effort to attain these benefits. Intrusive. Your personal boundaries may not be acknowledged and respected by a narcissistic person. They may invade your privacy, demand information or attention. Their sense of superiority and the absence of the ability to equitably show respect to others regardless of who they are and what they can provide, is what I believe influences their tendency to be intrusive. Controlling. Their low self-esteem and limited understanding of the concept of respect for people, their choices, interests and rights, engenders a need to control. It solidifies this feeling of superiority they believe they have over others. They seek to control individuals, situations and narratives to direct attention and adoration to themselves. If they cannot control an individual, they may begin to dislike, hate or lose interest in them. Lack of empathy. Narcissistic individuals are unable to acknowledge and feel the emotions of others. They may recognize that an individual is being harmed by their actions but usually cannot understand how they might be feeling. In fact, some narcissists choose not to care or refuse to try to understand how the other person feels. Lack of accountability. They will not take ownership of their errors or faults. Due to the fact that they think they have some measure of superiority, they often don't believe their actions are wrong even if those actions clearly violate established rules or mere morality. They often choose not to apologize for their actions. Some narcissists think their evil actions are warranted and deserved by the other person when mere reason says otherwise. Gaslighters. It is very common for a narcissist to manipulate a victim into thinking that their perceptions and reality are incorrect. Narcissists may insist that an event did not happen, change certain details about a story or convince someone that they are exaggerating or overreacting. They may cause the victim to question their sanity. Charismatic and charming. Two other key characteristics of narcissists are charm and charisma. They will use their appearance, mannerisms, status or possessions and most importantly their words to flatter or influence others, often for their own gain. The use of this trait is aimed at wooing you into some sort of relationship or interaction to undertake some sort of transaction from which they will benefit. It must be noted also that the benefit they may derive usually ends up being costly for the giver. The timing of the unveiling. Narcissists don't often demonstrate their negative characteristics early in the relationship or in public. As the relationship progresses, these traits will become noticeable. They also like to form relationships or surround themselves with persons who are gullible, persons who will not readily detect these behaviors, oppose them or leave the relationship, ideally persons who feed their ego. Mind-boggling, huh? Well, that is all for episode 1. Stay tuned for the next episode in which we talk about the veiled nature of narcissistic abuse. If you don't know, you won't know. Catch you later.